Hey guys, welcome to our gaming podcast. I'm Jeff Whedon, the game developer who is not at E3.
And I am Daniel, who is just a 3D artist. I am not
A lowly 3D artist, I might add. But regardless, we in the know, we all love all of our game development brethren. How you doing today, Daniel?
I am doing pretty good.
Be honest, I'm feeling kind of pumped.
Especially for Nintendo.
Yeah, for Nintendo and out of some of this residual excitement from all of these E3 events today.
That's not what we're here for today. We're here to recap day one.
Yeah, well, day two, technically.
Well, they call it day one.
Today
that was day 0 on Sunday.
Yeah, because they kind of did an extra day today, and it was interesting. They haven't really done this before because Bethesda had a press conference for the first time ever, which was very exciting. Today, though, we started off with Microsoft. A lot of the stuff from today, I found it very exciting. I found some of it very dull. We're gonna talk about it though. So we started off with Microsoft pretty early this morning. Not really early, more around the afternoon. But regardless, what was your favorite thing from the Microsoft event?
I thought it was interesting that got backwards compatibility.
That being available immediately for our listeners who are in the know with some tech stuff. You probably know that the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One have very different processor architecture, which for our listeners who are not in the know means it's very difficult to run Xbox 360 games on the Xbox One.
Because it's the x86 architecture.
Right.
Which is PC architecture.
Mm-hmm.
And the 360, it used PowerPC architecture.
Oh, yeah. So either way, some very exciting stuff. The fact that they're able to seemingly emulate Xbox 360 games, is they did explicitly say there's no effort required from the developer except for them just having to give the go-ahead to make their game an Xbox One exclusive or an Xbox One compatible Xbox 360 game. But what I thought was really cool is that they do still have the sharing features, like the streaming, sharing, and game DVR features available.
Yeah, that's something you don't see with backwards compatibility
at
all.
Like with the Wii U, if you're playing a Wii game, it disables all of the online functionality because you're switching over to the Wii menu.
Yeah, and the PS3, it pretty much did the same. It didn't really have any...
You still had access to your friends list while playing PS1 games and PS2 games, I think.
No.
Oh, not PS2 games?
No.
Okay. But definitely with PS1 games. I know that for a fact. I think.
I don't remember that. It was just...
you can tell by the sound of my voice, I'm just so certain about all of this. But, the whole, with, the most exciting thing for me, I thought, was the Microsoft HoloLens showcase, and the fact that they've got all this VR stuff that's that they're trying to really promote. I feel like really kind of pushing VR as this next step, like the next big thing. I think it's really exciting to see that. To see, having VR be the next big step is really going to revolutionize some stuff in the tech industry. I thought HoloLens, though, was probably the highlight of the show for me as a developer.
Showed Minecraft.
Minecraft on HoloLens I thought was very cool. Because
it had,
you could sit down and look at a wall, and the HoloLens will project Minecraft on a wall, and meanwhile, when your friends come in, they just see you sitting, staring at a wall, and they think you're insane.
Uh-huh.
But it projects the game screen onto the wall, and then you can actually have that game screen be projected onto a table. You can have your environment be constructed on a table, and you can look at it in 3D. It looks so cool.
It reminds me of the stuff in the 3DS.
Yeah,
the AR
stuff. Yeah,
but better.
Yeah, It definitely looked really nice. I've seen a couple of other AR things like this that have looked similar, but definitely not this good. Very exciting stuff. As a developer, I like to look at this kind of stuff and think, what kind of gameplay ideas can we kind of, do with this new tech? And one of the first things that popped into my mind, what seems to be the big thing is, they're just projecting a game screen into the environment or doing some kind of augmented reality thing. I think it would be cool is you have your regular game screen on your TV or computer monitor, and HoloLens can create some some extension stuff that's popping out of your screen to kind of extend your HUD, make it a little bit more of an immersive experience. I think that'd be a really cool idea.
Yeah.
So with Doom, you have all of your helmet HUD stuff surrounding your monitor.
Oh man,
That would be cool.
In which John Carmack, the programmer behind Oculus Rift,
Yes.
who made Doom, so that
And
will go
on that note,
hand in hand.
kind of coming full circle here, Microsoft has an agreement with Oculus Rift now. I believe Oculus Rifts will now include an Xbox One controller.
Oh yeah, that is right.
Yeah, and they're really pushing a lot of Windows 10 stuff as well. Really trying to kind of show that they're going to have a lot of really cool gaming stuff on there. Streaming from Xbox and a lot of other really cool features. So what else did they talk about?
Well, they talked about the new Xbox One controller.
That's true. It looked like a very nice controller. I wasn't sure what to think about that D-pad first, but then I saw you can actually switch
You can
it out
swap
for the
out
original.
parts
Yeah.
on it.
There seems to be a lot of customization options on this controller, which I think is interesting. But you were saying, I think you had some issues with
It creates the people that buy this have an advantage for multiplayer.
Yeah.
And I don't like that kind of crap.
Well, I feel like that's been a thing for a long time.
Yeah,
we've had turbo controllers. We've had official controllers with turbo functions on them before too, I think.
But this is more precise and triggers.
That's
and
true. It's
sticks.
got nicer sticks. But again, we have had nicer controllers before, and I think this one's still priced appropriately. In fact, I don't think they really mentioned pricing, but I assume it would be priced slightly higher than a regular controller. So in the past, there have been official controllers that do have nicer sticks.
But more precise triggers. I don't know about that.
I don't really know about that either.
And plus, it has stuff on the bottom.
It had those little I call them shifter buttons because it reminds me of gaming steering wheels. I'm thinking specifically of the Sega Saturn steering wheel, which had little triggers on the back side of it that you could press the shift gears up and down.
Rudder thing.
Yeah, kind of like rudders, or shift rudders is what I've always called them. I think they also showed off Halo 5.
Yes.
What did you think about that? Because I don't play too many of the Halo games. I've only played some of Combat Evolved Anniversary Edition. But
It just looks like Halo.
honestly, I looked at it and, again, my experience with Halo is Combat Evolved Anniversary Edition. It's I don't have a lot of experience with it, but it did look like they were going for kind of 4-player cooperative, somewhat Rainbow Six-like, kind of Rainbow Six Vegas-like, kind of tactical co-op kind of thing. I thought it was really cool. It looked like a new direction. I really liked the way they presented that boss near the end. Kind of reminded me of some Platinum Games stuff, actually, which I thought was really cool. Or even Dark Souls, where the older games where they kind of they build up to this boss, or this boss has this big dramatic introduction or something. I thought that was really cool. I think it looks cool. I don't have an Xbox One though, but I would like to play it. It looks
I
like
have.
a lot of fun.
I've played some Halo, but not really enough to critique Halo 5, what it looks like. But it's never really appealed to me that much. But
it's fun. From what I've played of Combat Evolved Anniversary Edition, it being a first-person shooter from like 2003, I think. Is that
2001?
2001, yeah. It feels like a 2001 first-person shooter because it is a 2001. It's a re-release of a 2001 first-person shooter, so that's why. But I really like it. And, Halo 3 feels kind of similar. It's a slightly more modern game. They've always kind of had this kind of classic first-person shooter feel, like kind of classic console first-person shooter feel, I should add. So, I think if I did get an Xbox One, I think Halo 5 would be something I'd want to get.
Yeah, and more games that you saw Forza 6, it's about standard you're going to see Forza.
But you know what? They've got a lot of really nice, colorful environments again. I think even more colorful in Forza 5, which I'm personally a big fan of colorful environments.
I like just, if you're going for realistic, have realistic color palette.
I feel like that's true, but
not like over the top.
I don't feel like
cartoony.
I don't think it looked cartoony. I feel like it just felt very saturated, which I think is a good thing because it felt like a very vivid, very alive environment. It didn't feel like washed out by sunlight or anything.
Yeah, I mean,
but as far as the actual mechanics of the cars go, I thought it looked cool. You saw the chassis and the wheels kind of acting independently of each other. I think it looks really nice. I don't really play too many realistic racing games. I prefer the more arcadey ones where I can see cars be bent up into horrible, horrible shapes. I like dirt a lot, I should add. But
yeah, I think Gran Turismo is the one that doesn't really show car damage.
Yeah, I don't think Forza does either.
It does.
Oh, it does?
Well, when I played it, it seemed like it had more than Gran Turismo.
Yeah, Gran Turismo didn't show anything. Anyways.
Well, it does a little bit.
Yeah. They also announced something that seems similar to Steam Early Access. So I think it's interesting for consoles, but I feel like could be abused very easily by developers. Because Steam Early Access was also abused pretty badly by some developers, especially in its earlier days, where a game would be announced as an early access title.
Yeah.
And, it just, they just, do one update for it and then stop. I know Interplay actually did that with Battle Chess.
Yeah. Well,
believe it or not, they did make a Battle Chess game in 2014, because apparently there was demand for it or something, or I don't know. But
anyway, moving on, we've got Rareware actually making games again.
Well, they're not. They're re-releasing.
Excuse me, Rare, not Rareware.
Well, yeah. Rareware has the Rareware collection. A collection of 30 Rareware games, not including GoldenEye and Donkey Kong, according to this article here. But that makes sense since this is on Xbox. But, we got Perfect Dark, Conker's Bad Fur Day,
for $30.
The Rare
30
Replay.
Games.
Rare
30 games.
Replay collection. $30 for 30 Rareware games. It's a good value. It's like $1 a game. It just depends on if you want to play all those games.
I mean, most of them would be it's just kind of outdated.
They did include a lot of the Xbox 360 Rareware games on there, I noticed.
Well, which is nice.
It is nice. But those are kind of where they started to kind of fall.
I kind of like nuts and bolts.
I never got around to trying it.
And people bitch because it wasn't
Banjo-Kazooie,
but it was a unique game to me.
It looks very unique.
And Viva Pinata, I think it was a pretty good game too.
Yeah. Well, what else? They also... Oh, yeah, that's right. Elite Dangerous was shown. Briefly mentioned it is coming out on Xbox One. I play that on PC. I'm a big fan of it. I love that game so much.
Yeah, I know.
Fantastically designed game. I love it.
It's
so
like
much.
Every freaking day. It's like you're telling Elite Dangerous.
Yeah.
Elite Dangerous.
I need some wingmen for when I encounter them space pirates. They're nasty little guys. What else have we got?
We've got... Let's see. We've got... Of course, Gears of War 4.
Gears of War 4, or Gears 4, as they called it in the trailer there, coming out next year. I haven't really played Gears of War much, but it looked pretty, I guess, and they got some cool ideas there. Looked like they had a really nice kind of dynamic between those two characters there.
To be honest with you, I fell asleep. Literally, I fell asleep.
Well, one thing I noticed in that there seems to be this trend that's kind of starting to build within that I've been seeing through a lot of the stuff today.
Contextual.
A lot of this dialogue seems to be very contextually focused. It's a very I don't know how you put it, like a lot of the dialogue you hear is reliant on your actions. And I think that's really cool because you have these characters that are talking based on things that you do as a player. Mm-hmm. I think that's a really cool idea.
Well, I don't really know what to say about Gears 4 because it's just...
Same. I mean, I don't really play Gears of War much, but...
It created the generic third-person shooter.
Well, there's also Gears of War, the original, a remastered version of it at least.
Completely redone, right?
Yeah. So I think that's exciting. Tomb Raider's coming out too. Lara Croft still has really, really nice looking hair.
Well, of course you gotta get the hair right.
The one thing that I really noticed in the other Tomb Raider game, the one that came out previously, very pretty hair. But
pretty overall.
And then I think what did they end the show with? I think did they end it with
It was Gears of War.
It was Gears, yeah. But I think the standard of that show for me was definitely the HoloLens. A lot of really cool gameplay ideas that can come from that.
We did have the game made by the Mega Man, one of the Mega Man developers and makers of Metroid Prime.
Recore, that's right. Not sure to think about it. It sounds interesting.
It looked like an original concept, really.
Yeah, it looked really interesting. Like it's kind of project, or kind of like this eco type thing. I think that's what, or is that the game's called Eco? The one on the PlayStation 2 where you've got the little companion running around with you.
Something like that.
Yeah. It kind of made me think of that, but your companion has a little more function and had a lot of really cool
got more
stuff.
More funk.
Yeah, there's a lot more stuff that character can do that actually will help you in gameplay. I like the idea. The environment looked cool. But then after that we had EA's press conference, which I actually did fall asleep during that. It was
the highlight of the EA press conference.
It was Star Wars, which everyone expected.
It was Pele.
It's not. It was not.
When they talked to Pele, whatever his name was.
They sat down with Pele and talked.
It was like an interview for 10 minutes, and it was like, what is going on?
And I couldn't really understand that he's got such a heavy accent. Not that I have anything against people who can't speak with perfect American accents.
I mean, you can't even
like
speak
myself.
in a perfect accent.
You can shut the hell up. They sat down with Pele after showing something, and then they're like... The guy was trying to work FIFA into his.
What do they call it?
FIFA into the conversation, and Pele be like, that reminds me of this time. It was so amazing back in the World Cup. But it wasn't great. Need for Speed looked neat. It's nice to see them kind of going back to this sort of Need for Speed Underground type aesthetic. It's surprising to see that coming out so soon.
The which one?
Need for Speed.
Yeah.
But Mass Effect 4 kind of teased a little bit. Didn't really show anything. We saw some concept art.
Well, they didn't call it Mass Effect 4.
Or Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah, the Andromeda Galaxy.
Yeah.
So, which interesting name, because that's the closest galaxy to us. So, we're going out of the Milky Way, apparently.
Yeah. That's exciting stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Looking to see what new stuff we end up seeing. But always thought with some concept art. Excuse me.
Don't yawn. Don't get it. Don't
Can't
sleep.
be yawning on the radio.
Don't be.
Apologies.
Are we broadcasting?
I'm gonna get kicked out of the studio here if I'm not careful. But
what studio?
no, we had a lot of cool stuff shown. Everything
the Old Republic
except
expansion.
They're still doing expansions for that. I was surprised.
I think there's still people that play it.
I thought they were player
I'd
bases.
rather see a new KOTOR. I don't care for this MMO.
But if they're still making expansions the Old Republic was a sequel or prequel or something to KOTOR, right? I thought it was.
No, I don't know.
I think they did explicitly say...
There's KOTOR and KOTOR 2.
It's the same developer.
Yeah, BioWare.
Yeah. So I think it was actually a prequel to KOTOR because it takes like 100 years before the events of KOTOR. Mm-hmm. So it's exciting to see. I think that might mean that KOTOR might actually, or Knights of the Old Republic rather, if you guys aren't in the know with these anagrams, I think that might mean that Knights of the Old Republic is actually still canon.
And you also have Unravel, a new original game. Mm-hmm. It seems to be yarn, seems to be a theme. You got Yoshi's Woolly World, and now this.
Well,
but this looks very interesting because your yarn follows you.
It looked interesting, but it seemed like the main, because they said it was a puzzle platformer, and so I assumed that the main idea behind it was going to be that your character based off the name, your character becomes unraveled as you progress through a level, as you move around more. Didn't really seem to be happening much though, so I was a little disappointed when I saw that.
Yeah,
we'll see though.
And we have NBA Live 16.
A lot of sports games,
but it looked. It didn't look quite as good as 2K16 or 2K, any 2K stuff. But it's some competition for them, so you can have a better game. And it's something Madden doesn't have. Well, it will. Montana 16.
Joe Montana 16 is the big football game Dan is excited about.
I'm about the only one, though. Well, people I know.
Wasn't mentioned today, so we might, I don't know. We've got Nintendo's press conference, might see it there. Probably not at all. But, one thing I did like from seeing all of these new EA Sports games, one thing I thought was really exciting is they are going to be having a little bit more, how to play stuff for new players. So I might even be tempted to pick one up, even though I don't play these sports games too often. But, learning those mechanics and stuff,
I don't.
It could be interesting.
Like, something like hockey, I don't know how to play that.
Yeah, but they have a training mode in-game now. They have a lot of focus on trying to get new players in there. So, they also had Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2. Looked very, very... I like the idea behind it.
I've never played the first one. So.
I didn't either. I still want to try it because it also looks very fun. But, Plants vs. Zombies 2 looked like it had a lot of fun ideas in it. Or Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2, I should say, has a lot of fun ideas in it. I feel like there's a lot of good potential there for that to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, then we have FIFA 16, or FIFA.
Which I know exists now because, you see, the thing is, I forgot about most of the other stuff that they showed at that press conference because Pele's 10-minute long interview monologue. I remember fun facts about the World Cup or whatever it was.
Most people don't really care, but
it's not that I don't care. It's just that, I'm like, okay, that's great, Pele, but I want to learn about these video games, and you're telling me your World Cup glory stories. It's not too. I took a nap through that part. Actually, I may have missed some stuff. Then Mirror's Edge Catalyst was much more interesting. Open world Mirror's Edge. Have you played the first Mirror's Edge?
I loved the first Mirror's Edge.
So it looks like this new one is basically that in an open world. And I love that idea so much. It really looks like a lot of fun.
Because I loved the first one. Mm-hmm. And I was waiting for the second one, and now it's finally out.
Except they're doing a prequel.
Not finally out, but
they're doing a prequel, which I think is weird because if I recall correctly, the first game kind of ended on a cliffhanger.
Literally, maybe. I don't exactly remember.
You jump onto the helicopter. Spoiler alert, by the way. You jump onto the helicopter. You save your sister, I think, and you're talking about how you're going to go on some more adventures to stop the evil corporate. I don't remember. Anyways, Star Wars Battlefront is the real elephant in the room.
It's just a Star Wars Battlefront.
Star Wars Battlefront.
It's whatever. Okay, we're moving on. Moving on to Ubisoft.
Well, the thing is, during the stream for EA, they, They knew that the only thing anyone wanted to see was Star Wars Battlefront, but they wanted everyone to stay on there, so they had a little thing at the bottom of the screen that would pop up every like 5 seconds saying Star Wars Battlefront.
That would
in
make people
45
want to
minutes.
tune out.
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, you don't need it. You just don't bother listening to our little spiel about Plants vs Zombies: Garden Warfare 2. It's Star Wars is in like 30 minutes. It's just like, I don't know, go get a beer or something. I don't care. But Star Wars Battlefront was easily the best thing shown. Loved that.
It looked like it captured the Star Wars feel.
It certainly does. And you know, they're showing that AT-ATs, you can drive those, despite some previous reports that I read that said you cannot. And they had they had the TIE Fighter and X-Wing dogfights going over that battlefield, which is something else I thought wasn't going to be in there. Very, very excited.
I just don't know about the amount of content, since you only have the original trilogy, which didn't have much.
That's right. It's only episodes 4, 5, and 6.
There wasn't much going on.
Mm-hmm. But, you know, they can make things that are going on.
I wonder if DLC, they're going to have stuff from prequels. I wonder if they're going to do that at all.
I want to say they were actually asked about that after the EA show, and their response was, oh, maybe in the next game.
Because there's
it's
a ton of content there.
Not looking likely. Not looking likely, unfortunately. So Ubisoft, they never seem to be able to make up their mind on how that's actually pronounced, but that was next. I didn't like that either.
That was the worst one to me.
To me, the worst one is EA, but Ubisoft was a close second. There were some nice things shown.
Because the thing is, half their stuff was Tom Clancy. And
honestly,
all the same.
Honestly, I like the gameplay in the Tom Clancy games. They're always slightly more tactical and require some more thinking than a lot of other games out there, especially Rainbow Six Siege. That looks like a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to playing that at some point in time. But, Ghost Recon Wildfire, I think is what it was, or is it Wild Hunt? I don't remember what it was. But the new Ghost Recon game is their big last thing that they showed, and it is a very interesting new direction for the series. It's kind of a Just Cause like open world type thing, or at least it made me think of Just Cause. But what was your favorite thing from the Ubisoft conference?
Probably the first game they showed, or not the first, but the one with the Vikings and the knights.
Oh, For Glory.
For Glory.
Or For Honor, rather.
For whatever it was called.
It's not Smash Brothers Online. Certainly is a far cry from that, but For Honor looked interesting. I think that's actually from the studio that makes the Far Cry games now, or is the same director at least. But that looked interesting.
That was the most interesting thing to me there.
Yeah, kind of like a Dynasty Warriors, but the animation's better.
Yeah, it's not crappy animations.
Hyrule Warriors had some nice animation in it.
Yeah, it wasn't fluid to me. It just felt.
It's a hack and slash. So.
It didn't feel satisfying.
Yeah, that's the problem I usually have with that I have had with Dynasty Warriors games, and I feel like this kinda, sorta, maybe solves that. It looked like Dynasty Warriors when the player went in there and started, chopping down those huge hordes of enemies.
Was there ragdoll kind of?
I don't remember if I saw any ragdolls, but
that's
the actual player versus player duels in it looked very satisfying, like a lot of fun mechanics there. Kind of some fighting game elements, and it looks like a lot of fun. You got the Division, which also looks really interesting. Kind of a PvP area, or you can get some loot. Very interesting mechanics there, I think. The three Tom Clancy games being Rainbow Six Siege, the Division, and that new Ghost Recon Wildlands. All three of those look very interesting. Trackmania Turbo, I also really like that. I think my favorite thing throughout the whole show, I think it was probably, I think it may have been Trackmania Turbo. Because I love Trackmania.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Trackmania is a lot of fun. A fun time trial game, Easy to get lost in it, very addictive. And I'm glad to see a new one coming out soon. I know they've got that Mania Planet platform now, but they haven't really done anything with it. So I was hoping to see some updates on that because I know they've got an RPG type thing coming out for that, but it didn't happen. So I was a little disappointed. But
And you also have the mandatory Assassin's Creed showing.
you know, I feel like it looked interesting, and the reason I thought it looked interesting is because of the setting and a lot of the gameplay opportunities that you know kind of come up in that setting. The setting for the new Assassin's Creed game being 1800s London, kind of during the industrial era, or industrial revolution era rather. You have horse-drawn carriages in the streets, but it's London, so they're like all over the place. You have a lot of busy traffic, horse-drawn carriages, you know, speeding all over the place. The streets
That's
are filled
what I
with them.
want to see.
You can jump on the back of these carriages. You can like jump from carriage to carriage. You can hijack them for these awesome, you know, 1800s London street chases. Game looks awesome. I'm really looking forward to seeing some more stuff from that. You know, everyone's gonna say, "Oh, it's just another Assassin's Creed," but I feel like there's some really interesting stuff there.
Guys, I like every year. It's a new setting.
Mm-hmm.
Something
That-
completely different.
That's what I really like. I mean, they
usually.
can do annual releases as long as every single one, you know, takes place in this radically different
It
setting.
gives you different
That's
gameplay.
awesome.
Gameplay.
Yeah,
Um,
all these different gameplay mechanics.
and
that
it looks like
arise.
they're getting like more modern. I wonder what they're gonna do next.
You know, Watch Dogs was originally going to be an Assassin's Creed game that took place in modern day, because I think.
Well, eventually you are in modern day though. With
with the
Desmond.
whole, yeah, but I don't think I haven't finished.
It's
3.
gonna build up to the.
I haven't finished 3, and I want to say I heard after 3 they stopped following Desmond. Spoiler alert to our viewers.
You're gonna
out there.
spoil it for me.
Well, I haven't finished it, so I can't. So
Well,
joke's on you. Dumbledore killed Desmond at the end of 3. So, anyways,
Oh damn!
yeah, big plot twist. Everyone was talking about it. I don't know how you missed it, but I think after Ubisoft, after their whole cringeworthy performance of trying to
The
come up with
dancing.
the next big meme, where I think they ended up.
Oh, the
what
great
they ended-
Aisha Taylor.
They ended up. They came up with the new meme. The next big meme. It's a picture of Picard saying "engage."
See, if you try to force a meme,
hilarious.
It's not gonna.
No, it's hilarious. You can force memes and it works because that's how memes.
Especially for
sometimes go.
Aisha Taylor.
Oh yeah, Aisha Taylor is the meme mistress.
Or something.
I'm gonna.
I don't even know.
I feel sad now. I almost want to just leave through it. Anyways, we
Girlwood.
went on to. This podcast is over now. Went on to Sony after that. After a couple of hours, they opened up with The Last Guardian, which I don't think anyone was expecting.
A lot of
Last
people-
Guardian's been in development for a long time. A long, long time. I'm sure you know about this, Daniel.
A long, long time.
Yeah. Like,
Fall you evolve.
yeah, that was very unexpected. In fact, on my E3 bingo board that I had, one of the spaces I had on there was it was, I think, just cut this one out because it's The Last Guardian and it's not going to happen. But it was the first thing they showed, and it was really exciting. What was your favorite thing from the Sony press conference, Dan? There was a lot of exciting stuff there.
No Man's Sky.
I have to agree with you 100%. That was probably also my favorite thing there, too. No Man's Sky looks very exciting. As a fan of Elite Dangerous and the original Elite on Commodore 64 and various other exciting game platforms of the time, I feel like Elite, or they say No Man's Sky is very much inspired by Elite.
Really?
That's one of the developer's biggest inspirations. He, I think, has a small team of 3 people making it, but the whole thing is like this fully procedurally generated space exploration kind of game. Kind of just do whatever you want. You can land on planets. You can fly from system to system. It just looks so cool. I am so excited for it.
And we got another Hitman.
I was actually not expecting that.
That looks like
It looked really nice in the trailer. I loved I really, really liked Hitman Absolution. I never got a chance to finish it, unfortunately, but I loved that game. It had some very cool ideas, especially with the way it penalized you for, injuring anybody except for your target. So, like, even doing, like, stealth knockouts would give you a point reduction penalty. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was a really interesting thing with that, and I'm looking forward to kind of the same kind of thing with the new Hitman.
You have Street Fighter V.
Yeah.
Exclusive to PS4 and PC.
I find that very interesting. Because
like, no Xbox, I don't know
why. Weird, yeah, because it seems like something that would sell really well on Xbox, especially with that Elite controller, the optional D-pad thing, the thing you can put on the D-pad. Mm-hmm. It looks like it would play perfectly with that. Any fighting game would play perfectly with that. So I find it really puzzling that they decided to pass up on the Xbox One. Kind of unfortunate for Xbox One owners.
It really is. It just looks like another Street Fighter. So I mean, I don't know what to say about it.
I mean, I play Smash. Got Ryu and Smash. I've got my Street Fighter.
That's
I'm
all
pro.
the Street Fighter.
I'm pro. I'm pro. Not
now,
bragging or anything.
I think the most interesting thing here was the Dream game.
Dreams looks interesting.
By Media Molecule.
From the Little Big Planet developer. Very interesting thing.
As an animator, I'm gonna go ham on it.
Oh yeah, and they've got a lot of interesting stuff there. The whole the ability to they said you can do some interactive stuff with it too. So they said you can make games with it, which I think is interesting. I'd like to see what you can end up doing with that. Kind of how that studio works. It reminded me a little bit of Disney's Magic Artist 3D, which kind of had a similar kind of drag 3D shapes through a world and then you can kind of animate them.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Mm-hmm. And something that came out of nowhere, Shenmue 3.
Shenmue 3 was a big surprise, but it wasn't really Shenmue 3. It was a Kickstarter for Shenmue 3, which was still a pretty big surprise.
An interesting thing about Shenmue, it was meant to be like 7 or 8 parts.
Really? Did not know that.
Or 6 parts or something. It was supposed to be way more than this.
Oh, right. So there's supposed to be like a total of 6 games to fill up the whole...
yeah.
And I'm sure with this new game, they can tell a much longer story. Thanks to modern...
Yeah, it's story-driven, obviously.
Oh, yeah,
it was the original kind of like quick time event.
Yeah.
But, I mean, back then, the game was unbelievable. Like,
yeah.
But the one thing that kind of ruins the game for me was the voice acting. It's horrid. It's the worst voice acting I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And it's a story-driven game.
Well, it was also a game on the Dreamcast from whenever, from way back when.
And the audio quality is crap because it's a Dreamcast game.
Yeah,
because you've got that CDs though.
You've got that limited disc space on there, and you have to make some compromises. But I am looking at their Kickstarter right now. They have just broken the $1 million mark. I guess that's what happens when
1.5.
They're at 1.5 million. They're going to break that goal by the end of today, and it just launched today. So that's incredible. That's what happens when you announce a Kickstarter at an E3 press conference. And this Sony conference was not only being aired at that, it was not even only being shown at that theater, not only being shown online, but also at theaters across the world.
Kind of wish I would have.
Yeah.
Went to one of those.
Yeah.
Because then you get the reaction with the people, and you get to hear them cheering.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you're there.
Yeah.
I wish Nintendo would do something like
that. Would be really cool.
At least substitute a press conference.
So, that's kind of, I guess, Final Fantasy VII Remake. They didn't really show any gameplay of that.
That's the big thing on my Facebook.
We saw some environments. We saw some environments from Final Fantasy VII, kind of reimagined in HD. I think there's some cool designs. I never played Final Fantasy VII myself, and I've got
it on
the shield
PC.
up, though I don't think anyone really cares. But I've got my shield up just in case anyone tries to attack me. I've never played a Final Fantasy game.
I've technically played several of them, but I just haven't made it deep into any of them because I'm not big on turn-based
Yeah.
RPGs.
Well, I'm sure for anybody who likes Final Fantasy VII, it's going to be a great. That must have been a huge, mind-blowing announcement.
That's the only thing.
That's something that people have wanted to see a remake of for a long time.
People on my Facebook, that's all that's on the walls.
Oh yeah,
because they're all
And-
weeaboo trash. I'm not. I'm joking. But.
You danged weebs. Anyways,
And then you have Uncharted 4. And that's
Uncharted 4, which they, I think their controller died and they just switched to pre-recorded footage of the demo.
For Uncharted 4, I was expecting like some generic third-person crap, but that looked very interesting.
It did.
Like,
Because one thing I thought was really cool is some of the AI behavior. Because you've got Jake, you got Mike and it's
Mike and Sully?
Yeah, no, it's Uncharted and Uncharted's friend going through this bizarre
Uncharted and Nathan Drake.
Nathan Uncharted Drake. They just call him Uncharted in game because it's his nickname.
I'm like that.
But one thing I thought was really cool, Nathan Drake and I think is it Scully or Sully? Because I've never played them either. I plan to, in case any of you are like, wow, he's never played Final Fantasy VII.
This guy's never played anything.
Wow,
this guy's Trackmania.
This guy's not a... So what video games do you play? Oh, Trackmania. Anyways,
we're PC Nintendo.
Uncharted and his friend are going through this bazaar, and they encounter some enemies. But what I thought was cool is, the AI companion is shooting at the enemies, kind of creating a distraction while Uncharted goes around and kind of tries to flank the enemy.
Uncharted.
I'm going to refer to him as that. Anyways, he's not in Shinball anymore.
Nathan Drake.
The player moves around this corner to flank the enemy, and the enemy's, the enemy pops out of cover and starts shooting at the AI companion, but then he kind of turns his head real quick after you start shooting. And he turns his head and he's like, oh, he's over there, and starts shooting, and then the AI companion took care of him. I thought that was cool. A lot of the the car chase I thought was really well, or handled really, really well. Felt like something out of, the Indiana Jones movie, which I feel like is probably what the intent of a lot of the Uncharted stuff is.
I think that was the inspiration.
That was how they ended that. Some other stuff that kind of saw between the conferences today. There was the Metal Gear Solid 5 trailer, the last one before the game comes out. Very, very excited for that. I'm not going to spoil anything, but you guys should check it out. Unless you're just trying to remain spoiler free, but it is looking like it's going to really tie into a lot of stuff that you see in Metal Gear 1 and 2, and then Metal Gear Solid as well. And maybe even some of the stuff that was alluded to in Metal Gear Solid 2 with Solidus Snake. Some very exciting stuff. Really looking forward to seeing it. Because if you recall, Dan, you finished Metal Gear Solid 2, right?
Yeah. So
the thing with Solidus Snake, spoiler alert, again, guys, he was the perfect clone of Big Boss. There was Solid Snake and Liquid Snake. Solidus Snake was the absolute 100% clone of Big Boss. He had Big Boss's skills and memories implanted into his brain. And because of that, he would have these PTSD flashbacks to Big Boss's memories, to the time frame where Phantom Pain is going to take place. So I'm feeling like we may end up encountering maybe even Raiden at some point in this game as a child. So
I think so too.
I'm really excited about that. Because they have shown in a lot of the trailers, almost all the trailers, we see child soldiers. And we know from Metal Gear Solid 2 that Big Boss raised Raiden as a child soldier in, was it Libya? I think?
Not sure.
Some country that starts with an L. Anyways, it's kind of in that area where Metal Gear Solid 5 is going to take place. I'm so excited because I'm a big Metal Gear fan.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, I am. But some Peace Walker stuff there too. I was pretty excited to see in the trailer. But the other big thing I saw, I'm very excited for XCOM 2. They had an XCOM, IGN had an XCOM 2 live stream showing off some of the new features. some of the new enemies, like the Snake Men and the new Berserker, Muton Berserkers, and some of the new gameplay details and some graphical details as well, kind of showing how they put a bomb at the base of this tower, and the tower falls over and is able to actually kill some units. Some really interesting dynamic stuff like that. Of course, the entire squad ends up getting killed and screwed over because it's XCOM. But one thing I think is really cool is if in Enemy Unknown and all the previous XCOM games, if you wanted to abort a mission, now when I say previous XCOM games, I mean XCOM, UFO Defense, XCOM, Terror from the Deep, and XCOM Enemy Unknown. If you wanted to abort a mission, you would have to move all of your units back into the Sky Ranger transport ship before you ended the mission, or else you would lose those units and their gear. Now, your Sky Ranger transport ship does not remain landed at the mission site. It just drops you off and flies away, and then you call in for extraction, and you can have the Sky Ranger land anywhere you want on the map, which I think is awesome. And then it lands there, you extract, you can carry your dead teammates out to recover their gear if you have to abort the mission. It just looks so cool. It's going to allow for a lot more player-driven narrative. I am so excited for it, and that's something I was really happy to see. But tomorrow we've got Nintendo coming up. You got any predictions?
Metroid. And, well, it's Star Fox, obviously, but Metroid has to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And
I think they have 2 Metroid games, right?
Yeah, apparently a 3DS one and a Wii U one.
Yeah. The 3DS one's going to be a side-scrolling one from the team that did Fusion, I think.
Something like that.
And then the 3D one on the Wii U is going to be supposedly by Rare, I think.
You know what?
In the style
you got me on record right here. F-Zero. UX.
And if Dan is wrong, we'll have a special episode where we execute him live on air.
Okay.
It's going to be great.
Are we going to stream it?
It's going to be live streamed on the official E3 YouTube channel.
We're not doing that.
Ah, darn. Well, Dan, we got to get something to get these listeners pulled in. It's not E3 coverage.
No, I might have leaked something, and Reggie might come up.
True. Reggie might not approve.
He'll be seeing me here in a bit.
He's going to kick Dan's ass for accepting this challenge. Anyways, my predictions for Nintendo's E3, I feel like I'd like to see F-Zero, but they said they're not working on it. I know we're going to see Star Fox.
Shit.
I feel like maybe we'll see Zelda, even though they said we won't, though. Because I feel like everyone wants to see Zelda. They know everyone wants to see Zelda. They showed some Zelda stuff in the Nintendo World Championships. It was the original Zelda, but whatever.
Oh,
but anyways, I feel like we're definitely going to see something tangentially related to Zelda. At least they're going to mention it. At least it may not be there, but I'm sure they got to show something for Zelda.
Sure.
I know a lot of the stuff at the Microsoft conference, which I felt was kind of a letdown. A lot of it, they just said, you know what, just come back to Gamescom. We've got more stuff to show you then. I'd be so upset if that turned out to be the case in Nintendo's event. But, you know what, I'm really excited. I think there's a lot of good opportunity for Nintendo to do a really standout show. They've already announced quite a few mind-blowing things already. Mother 1 for NES being localized to the United States.
This is looking like the best E3 I can remember.
For Nintendo, at least.
Across the board.
Well, not EA and Ubisoft, but...
Well, they always are,
at least they've always been entertaining in the past to watch just because of how cringeworthy they are. This year, they kind of felt short and uninteresting. In my opinion.
Yeah, it needs Mr. Caffeine.
Mr. Caffeine is an icon of horrible things, and
Which
I
is
love
why it's
him.
great.
Love him so much for that. In fact, I think we should go back in time about 2 or 3 years ago and just so we can get. You don't do that many doodlies for just 2 to 3 years. He's going back 25. You know how many years you almost sent us back in time? It would have been before we would have been able to do this podcast.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's not good. So, anyways, we I think we got Nintendo coming up tomorrow morning. Very excited for that. And then followed by that, I think there's a Square Enix show later in the day. Nintendo's doing all day coverage. A PC gaming show later in the day, I believe, around 8 p.m.
Hosted by AMD and
I think is that what they
I think
said?
it's like Alienware. I know AMD has something to do.
Alienware's got to be there in
AMD.
some capacity. But tell you, I'm very excited for that because I want to see more XCOM 2. I'm hoping to see it there. Maybe some of that Beyond Earth expansion as well for Civ or Civilization Beyond Earth. I think it's called Rising Tide. I'd like to see some of that. And maybe some maybe we'll see more Star Wars Battlefront. Maybe some PC exclusive features.
Yeah, there'll be showings for the next 2 days.
Yeah. Really looking forward to this PC gaming show. Don't really know what to expect from it, but I'm hoping to be surprised.
Yeah, well, I think that about wraps things up.
Yeah, it
I
does.
need to go to the bathroom really bad.
Hey, so do I. Anyways, we will have another wrap-up episode for you guys tomorrow, hopefully. So
we hope. We might even live stream it.
Ooh, I don't know how to do that. Anyways,
It's easy, just YouTube.
Well, that about wraps up our episode. Happy E3, everyone.
See ya.